Hey, what's up, Street Talks? It's Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So I wanted to just make a quick video with you, just sharing with you a thought I had when just walking around the blog. So the basic idea is this. As photographers and individuals, it's all essentially aesthetics. What I mean by that is this. Aesthetics is the way that things look. Aesthetics is the way that makes us feel. And when it comes to everything, whether it comes to our clothes, our physical appearances, the cars, our homes, our decorations, our photographs, visual art, whatever it may be, everything has a certain aesthetic quality to it. And this is something that was kind of interesting to me too, because even when we think about photography, people are like, oh, I want a camera with better image quality. And when people say, I want better image quality, I think what people really mean to say is, I want a photo with, better aesthetics, or a certain aesthetic I consider beautiful. And this is a tricky thing. Everyone has a different definition of beauty when it comes to aesthetics. So for example, I forget who it was. It was maybe Heraclitus or Empedocles, one of the pre-Socratic philosophers, who said, depending on the races of people in the world, everyone's gods tend to look like them. So for example, in Ethiopia, Ethiopian gods were black. Or to the Greek gods looked Greek. And to Asian gods looked Asian. And this is actually something that I found very interesting too, is that even me as an Asian male, when I look at people, women who are not Asian, whether they be, Latina, white, black, whatever, I generally tend to find people, women who are Asian, as more beautiful than non-Asian people. Not because I don't find them other women beautiful. I could look at a white model. It's wow, she's aesthetically, she looks really beautiful and she's got good proportions and she looks beautiful. But I'm not necessarily attracted to her. Whereas I've always been more attracted to Asian women. And I mean, this might be socialized or it might be a biological thing, but I generally, as an Asian male, me being attracted to other Asian women kind of makes sense. And maybe it's perhaps the fact that we're more attracted to people who look like us or seem like us or act like us or have similar cultures. But essentially what I mean to say through this is that everyone's aesthetics are different. So for example, a black man might find a black woman as much more attractive than me as an Asian guy might find a black woman because I'm Asian. And once again, I don't know if this is all socialized or whatever the reasons may be. But I think the truth is that when it comes to photography, art, and anything in life, all aesthetics are subjective. So for example, I'm really into abstract painting, like Franz Kline. I really like Jackson Pollock and other kind of surrealist abstract painters. And to me, I consider it beautiful, and it has aesthetics that I personally like. Now, it's not everyone likes it, and not everyone should like the same things that I like, or not everyone should like the things that you like. And I think for us as photographer, visual artists, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find other artists that we feel like are on our level and create works of art that we consider beautiful. And furthermore, I think what we're striving for as artists is that we're trying to create things which we consider aesthetically beautiful. And I think this is actually really important because the strange thing is, as photographers, we don't really use the word aesthetic that often, aesthetic. And I think even when it comes to the philosophy of aesthetics, there isn't that much written on the philosophy of aesthetics, and all the modern stuff written on it, I think is just kind of nonsense. But I think what's really essential is for us to really kind of spend more time thinking about what we consider beautiful and why we consider it beautiful and why does it even matter. So for me, the reason why I think aesthetics are important is because whenever I see something I consider aesthetically beautiful, it gives me optimism, it gives me joy, it gives me energy, it gives me motivation for me to live more and for me to create more of my own artwork. And so for example, the thing that I really love about architecture, especially when I see these massive skyscrapers and stuff. I was actually pretty inspired last time I was in Boston. So you see these huge, enormous structures, and it reaffirmed the faith that, wow, I can't believe human beings built this. And it kind of gave me more faith in what it means to be a human being. Furthermore, when I look at great photographers, like let's say I look at the work of Joseph Kudelka, I'm not like, wow, his photos are so much better than mine. Like, I'm so depressed. It's more like I look at his photos and I'm inspired. I'm like, wow, if I could just keep shooting, I can make photos as good as his, if not better. So whenever I look at other artists, I'm seeking a stimulation or a sense of motivation or inspiration that I could aspire to their greatness and actually aspire to be greater than them. Because I think it's important for us to derive inspiration from the masters of the past, but we shouldn't, essentially live in their shadows. We should just seek to, get to their level and then go beyond them. And also when it comes to aesthetics, and I think this is the thing that's really difficult as photographers, is that it's really difficult to make aesthetically beautiful images in photography, I think, because we're generally slaves to the light. Depends, like, generally speaking, sunrise, sunset, you kind of get more like nice colors or whatever. And also with digital photography, the technology is just evolving too rapidly, so rapidly, with new JPEGs, sensors, raw settings, and stuff like that. So it's hard for us to even spend enough time to get down to a post-processing formula or create a preset in Lightroom that makes something look beautiful. And I think most people do agree that shooting film does have a beautiful aesthetic. I think still the issue with film is a lot of people don't like to deal with the hassle of film, like having to get a process, and the issue also now issues with scanning it. And then of course, if you're really hardcore, you want to print the photos, that's a whole nother thing. But it is really important whatever aesthetic you think consider beautiful, and don't let other people superimpose their definition of beauty and aesthetics upon you. So for example, it is evident that shooting a digital medium format camera, like let's say a Pentax 645Z, versus shooting with a phone camera, of course the aesthetics are going to be different. It's gonna look different, and therefore, because it looks different, it's going to feel different. And now that's not to mean to say that you cannot make a beautiful photo on a phone camera, but certainly there's not going to be as much dynamic range in the image, and depending on what you consider beautiful, it's gonna look different. And even having more dynamic range doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be more beautiful. It just means that it's just going to look different. And so I think that's why it's important for you to look at a lot of photography, look at a lot of art, and kind of latch onto certain aesthetics that you've considered beautiful. So for example, for a long time in color photography, I always thought that digital color photography was pretty ugly, especially back in like 2010, 2011. Maybe sensors weren't as good. So I was more drawn to black and white because I could actually make a black and white photograph digitally that I considered beautiful in my own eyes. And then when I discovered color film photography, I'm like, wow, this is like the first time I've seen color photos that I considered beautiful. It's like, how they make the colors look so good? Oh, they shot this thing called film. Okay, I'm going to give that a go. And so even looking back at my old color film photos, like especially shot on Kodak Portra 400, even though I shot a lot of these photos like 5-6 years ago, they still look beautiful to me. But a lot of digital photos that I shot like 2010, 2011, they haven't really stood up to the test of time. Fortunately, black and white digital photos have still stayed pretty good looking from 2010 to 2011. I think now in 2019, we're actually pretty fortunate that you can make really nice looking digital color photographs. So for example, a lot of the Fujifilm cameras, even Ricoh GR2, the positive film JPEG preset with high contrast and saturation looks good to me. And of course, a lot of the digital medium format cameras. So for example, when I was shooting with the Pentax 645Z, just shooting JPEGs on that thing, it's just like, you didn't even have to process the colors. They just looked fantastic out of camera. And of course, you could always shoot color film. And even nowadays, like even smartphone cameras, shooting with a new iPhone or the Google Pixel 3 or even the Huawei P20 Pro, all the colors on that look pretty good. I mean, they all look pretty different. And this is why I'm a big fan of the VSCO A6 aesthetic preset. I think it just adds kind of nice, more grain and grit and gradations to the image. And I think also the thing with aesthetics is that you'll never find a perfect aesthetic that'll look good to you for the rest of your life. I think aesthetics is a thing that constantly changes, constantly evolves. Like, consider the aesthetic you had for your fashion as a 12-year-old hopefully isn't the same fashion you have as a 30-year-old. I mean, that would not be cool. Like, even remember the aesthetic for rappers like back in the 90s, like super baggy jeans. And now it's kind of like, I don't even know what it is. It's kind of like punk rocker now with tight jeans, and you kind of have more of like the look, like kind of rappers look kind of more like punk rock stars, like Vic Mensa, that kind of look, which I think is really cool too. So just kind of realize that you want to evolve and you kind of want to let yourself evolve. And it's not to try to copy the aesthetics of whoever is popular at the time. It's more like to just keep considering what you consider beautiful. And I mean, this is a more ambitious thought, but strive to make images that you think will look still beautiful 300 years from now. This is a thought that I got from Nietzsche reading one of his books. He says that when it comes to him and other thinkers, he tries to like creatively isolate himself from other people and tries to put at least the skin of 300 years between him and anything else that he does. And it's awesome because a lot of his writings and his thoughts is writing in like 1880s. And in 2019, I'm reading and it still resonates with me. Whereas you read a lot of the business books, even written like 1 or 2 years ago, like none of these have continued to even stay relevant 2 or 3 years from now. And so I think it's really difficult as photographers. We're kind of the ultimate cyborg visual artists because so much of our visual artistry is dependent on technology, the digital image, the internet, ways of sharing, and different monitors and so forth. So we do have a unique challenge as photographers, especially in the digital age, because I almost feel like back then with painting, it was obviously very complex and very technical, but the paints and the mediums didn't evolve that quickly. So at least people, they're more focused, I think, on making new images, whereas we're more obsessed with the technology. And that's an unfortunate thing about modern times. So the practical takeaways I would give for you is, obviously it's important for you to keep upgrading your cameras and technology. I usually upgrade my laptop every like 2, 3, 4, 5 years and stuff like that. I would not want to own a laptop for 10 years or a phone for even longer than 3 or 4 years. But I would say that generally speaking, with any camera that you buy, whatever, stick with it for at least a year or two. I mean, at least. If anything, I think the maximum, I mean, theoretically you could shoot with the digital camera for the rest of your life, but it kind of doesn't really make sense because the technology evolves so quickly. So kind of treat our digital cameras like your phones. Like think about how long you would keep your phone, keep your digital camera that long. If you don't like to keep upgrading your camera, of course, you could just always buy a film camera. Shout out to my buddy Bellamy Hunt at JapanCameraHunter.com. This is probably where I recommend to get good film cameras. And yeah, so whatever camera you had, just stick with it, and it will take you a while to discover an aesthetic or post-processing style. If you wanted to extract the full maximum out of your digital camera, I would probably say a digital camera made today or even the last few years, it should be good for at least 3 or 4 years. And I've even discovered it usually takes me at least a year before I could even discover a post-processing recipe that looks good to my eyes. And even something I've been doing is like looking back at my old photos and reprocessing some of my old photos. Like I like literally just take the JPEG images and we'll just add a little more contrast or whatever. So don't feel like you always have to keep all your raw files. Even just keeping JPEGs is okay. So anyways, just kind of remember that photography, so much of it is about aesthetics. Obviously, a lot of it is about composition. But really think about the aesthetics, what's beautiful to you. And think for the future, like even photos I shot in 2011, some of them still look really good now, but some of them like look super ugly. And I'm like, what was I thinking with the post-processing or whatever like that? And also this is another tip too, is that when it comes to post-processing your photos, think of it like you're kind of painting the photos, because when you're dragging the sliders in Lightroom or whatever program you use, you are essentially kind of like painting the image. Follow your gut. And generally speaking, there's no sort of like perfect post-processing. What I've discovered in my images is that if I post-process a photo a lot and it still doesn't look good, it's best to just stitch it. Whereas you post-process a photo a bit and it looks a lot better, and then just kind of keep it. So let's continue to think about aesthetics. Obviously, I'm still kind of a new student when it comes to studying the philosophy of aesthetics. So I just challenge you. So what do you consider beautiful in your eyes? Why do you think aesthetics is important? So leave a comment down below to say something like, oh, I think aesthetics are important because da, 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 da. So for example, Eric Kim would say, I think aesthetics are important because it determines how the viewer and the creator will feel about the photograph, and a photograph with a beautiful aesthetic will inspire other people to be more hopeful and optimistic in life. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace out.